Pause for a moment. Take a breath. Because what is happening right now as these words reach you is not random. Something has shifted in the unseen realm, and your name is at the center of it. Heaven has a way of interrupting the ordinary at the precise moment. Truth is ready to rise. This is that moment. Stay with this message until the very end, because what is unfolding will speak directly to what you have been quietly carrying. Chosen one, before we step into everything heaven has prepared to share with you today, I want to say something from my heart. This channel exists because of a calling, a mission to reach hurting people in the places where discouragement lives, in the quiet hours before dawn, in the long silences after a conversation that went wrong, in the waiting rooms of broken relationships and unanswered prayers. If this message reaches you at a moment when you needed it most, that is not by accident. And if the words spoken here have ever reached into a place inside you that nothing else could touch, I want you to know that you can help carry this mission further. There is a link in the description and a pinned comment below this video. Through that link you can support this work by buying a coffee, making a small donation, or becoming a member of this community. Every single act of generosity does not go to a channel. It goes to the next person sitting alone in the dark who needs to hear that heaven has not forgotten them. You are not just supporting content. You are stepping into the harvest field alongside this mission. You are helping light reach someone who is one message away from hope. So if you feel led, go there, give what you can, and know that what you plant today will grow into something far beyond what you can see. Now let us go deeper into what heaven has for you today. Chosen one, for a long time you carried a story about yourself that was written by someone else. You were labeled the difficult one, the one who created tension simply by being present, the one who questioned things others accepted without thought. You were called too sensitive, too intense, too much. And while others rehearsed that narrative about you and passed it through the family like it was established truth, heaven was quietly, carefully recording a different account. The real account, the one where you kept showing up even when it cost you, the one where you stayed honest even when dishonesty would have made your life easier, the one where you loved people who did not love you well in return. Heaven never lost sight of that story, not for a single moment. But I want you to understand something before we go any further. What you are about to hear is not a performance. This is not a message designed to make you feel good for a few minutes before the old weight comes rushing back. What I am about to speak over your life is rooted in something real. I have sat in rooms very much like the one you are sitting in now. I have known the specific loneliness of being misread by the people who were supposed to know you best. I have felt the sting of watching a version of yourself circulate through conversations you were never invited to. A version so distorted you barely recognized it. And I remember the night I stopped trying to correct it, not because I gave up, but because something in my spirit understood that truth was going to have to fight its own battle. Heaven was going to have to take this one, and it did. So when I speak to you today, I am not speaking from a comfortable distance. I am speaking from the same ground you are standing on. And what I have learned from standing there is this: heaven never wastes a season of misunderstanding. Every painful moment is being woven into something. And the moment of revelation, when it finally comes, is far more powerful than any explanation you could have given with your own words. Now let us talk about what has actually been happening around your life. Because this is not simply a story about family tension or emotional misunderstanding. There has been something more structured at work, something with a pattern. Think about the atmosphere that developed around your name over the years. Whenever there was confusion in the family, somehow your name was the one attached to it. When emotions rose in a room, eyes found you first. When something went wrong, the story that emerged had you somewhere near the center of the blame, even when you had been the one trying to hold things together. Over time, a role was assigned to you that you never agreed to play, the role of the problem, the role of the source, and the longer it went unchallenged, the more permanent it began to feel. Here is what I need you to understand about how that happens. In almost every family where this pattern exists, there is one person who serves as what I will call the architect of the narrative. This person does not announce themselves. They do not say openly that they are building a case against you. They appear calm. They appear reasonable. They are often the one in the room who seems the most measured, the most concerned, the most reliable. But what they are actually doing is positioning themselves as the interpreter of everyone else's experience. They become the one who explains your behavior to others before others have a chance to experience you directly. They carry information, they translate moments. They frame events in ways that quietly shift suspicion toward you and sympathy toward themselves. This is not always conscious. Sometimes the person doing this is operating from deep wounds of their own, from jealousy they have never examined, from insecurity that turns outward into control, from a fear that if people truly knew them, they would not choose them. So they make sure they are always the one holding the pen when the story gets written. And the story they write places them at the center of clarity while placing you at the edge of chaos. Chosen one, I need you to sit with this for a moment, because what I am about to say is the part that changes everything. You were not imagining it. You were not too sensitive. You were not the problem. You were the mirror, and mirrors have a particular effect on people who are hiding things from themselves. When someone is protecting a version of themselves that does not align with reality, they cannot remain comfortable in the presence of someone whose honesty threatens that protection, your refusal to perform. Your insistence on truth, your inability to pretend things were fine when they were not. All of that was not a flaw. It was a threat to a carefully constructed illusion. And the safest way to neutralize a threat like that is to make the threat look like the problem. Which is exactly what happened. But here is where something begins to shift. And I want you to feel this deeply, because this is the turning point that heaven has been preparing for longer than you realize. There is a moment that comes in every pattern of deception where the weight of the lie becomes heavier than the person carrying it can sustain. Where the architecture begins to show cracks, where a single piece of evidence, a single revelation, a single moment of divine clarity lands inside the heart of someone who believed the wrong story, and the whole structure begins to tremble. That moment is happening now, around your life, around your family. I do not know if it came through a conversation that went further than it was supposed to. I do not know if it came through something written, something witnessed, something that arrived in the quiet of the night when defenses were down. But what I know is that a veil has begun to lift in someone close to you. And the lifting of that veil is not a gentle experience. Truth never arrives softly when it has been suppressed for a long time. It arrives with weight. It arrives with the force of everything it has been pressing against. The family member who has been awakening to reality is not simply adjusting an opinion. They are being forced to re-examine an entire framework. They are going back through memories they thought they understood and realizing the interpretation they were given does not match what they actually witnessed. They are remembering the times you tried to speak and were talked over. They are recalling the moments you stepped back, not out of bitterness but out of self-preservation. They are beginning to see that while they were receiving reports about you, they were never truly asking you. And the gap between those two things is now impossible to ignore. This is the sound of a conscience waking up. Chosen one. And it is not a quiet sound. When a person realizes they believed a lie about someone who genuinely loved them, there is a particular kind of grief that arrives with that realization. It is not the grief of loss. It is the grief of having participated, even unknowingly, in something that caused harm. They are asking themselves how they could have accepted that story so easily. They are wondering why they never pressed harder for the truth. They are beginning to understand that the very person who seemed to offer them clarity was actually the one creating the fog. This is not a small moment. This is the beginning of the unraveling of a generational pattern. And you are standing at the center of it. I want to stop here for just a moment and speak to those of you who have been journeying alongside this community for some time. You know what it means to find a message at exactly the right moment. You know the feeling of sitting with something heavy and hearing words that somehow name the exact shape of the weight you are carrying. If this channel has been that for you, if these messages have reached you in places where silence felt louder than anything else, I want to invite you to become part of what makes this possible. The link in the description and the pinned comment below is a place where you can give toward this mission by buying a coffee, making a donation, or joining this community. Please know that every seed you plant in this work will grow into a torch that shines in someone else's darkness. What you give does not go to a channel. It goes to the mission of carrying these words to the next person who is sitting where you once sat. Heaven moves through willing voices, but it grows through hearts that are generous. Give, and it will be given to you is not a verse that belongs only in the past. It is a living promise that shapes your future. If you feel led, go there. And then keep watching, because what comes next is what heaven specifically prepared for where you are standing right now. Now, chosen one, let us talk about what you are supposed to do with this. Because vindication, when it finally comes, brings its own set of challenges, and many people, after years of waiting for truth to surface, are not prepared for what they feel when it actually does. Some feel a flood of relief so strong, it almost looks like joy. Others feel a grief that surprises them, a grief for all the years that were lost under the weight of the misunderstanding. Some feel anger rise where they thought forgiveness had already settled. All of these responses are real, all of them are human, and none of them disqualify you from the healing that heaven is building toward. But here is what wisdom sounds like in this season. You must hold two things at once. The first is grace, not the passive kind that pretends the harm was not real. The active kind that chooses not to be poisoned by what was done. Bitterness is a container that only harms the person holding it, and you have carried too much already to add that weight to what remains. Grace is not weakness. Grace is the decision to let heaven handle what you cannot without losing yourself in the process. It is the choice to say, I am not going to let what happened to me define what I become. And that choice is one of the most powerful things a human being can make. The second thing you must hold is wisdom. Wisdom reminds you that restoration does not mean reconstruction of the old thing. God rarely rebuilds a relationship exactly the way it was before. When He restores something, He raises it onto a healthier foundation. The same dynamic that allowed confusion to grow is not a safe foundation to return to without change. Wisdom means you do not rush back into emotional closeness before trust has had time to demonstrate itself. Wisdom means you watch not just for words but for patterns. A genuine change of heart reveals itself over time in consistent behavior, not in a single emotional conversation. Both grace and wisdom are necessary. Without grace, your heart remains anchored in the past, and the bitterness you carry will keep pulling you backward, no matter how far forward you try to walk. Without wisdom, you risk reopening doors that led to the original wound. This season is teaching you how to carry both simultaneously. That is not an easy thing to learn, but you are not learning it because it is easy. You are learning it because it is what restoration at this level requires. The person who has been awakening to the truth about you may approach you in one of several ways. They may come quietly, almost tentatively, as if they are not sure they have the right to speak after what happened. They may come with questions, trying to understand how the narrative was constructed and why they believed it so readily. They may come with an apology that is incomplete at first, an apology that captures the emotion of regret but has not yet fully named the specific harm. All of these approaches are the beginning of something genuine. None of them are the finished product. Meet them where they are without requiring them to be further along than they actually are. The same patience you carried during the years of misunderstanding is now your most valuable instrument in the years of recovery. You may also notice changes that come before any conversation. A softening in the way someone's voice reaches you. A hesitation where confidence once existed. A willingness to listen that was not there before. These are the signs that something has shifted beneath the surface before the words catch up. Pay attention to those changes. They are the evidence of an internal movement that is still finding its language. And chosen one. Here is something I want you to carry with you as this chapter unfolds. The same isolation that felt like punishment was actually preparation. The years when you had to become comfortable in your own company, when you had to develop the capacity to hear truth without needing it confirmed by the people around you, when you had to learn how to hold your peace without losing your convictions, those years were not wasted time. They were the construction of a foundation that nothing can now shake. You were not sent away. You were sent ahead, to build something in yourself that the family will now need to lean on. The generational pattern that placed you in the role of the outcast is being broken. Not because you fought your way out of it, but because you endured it with enough integrity that the lie eventually ran out of material to sustain itself. Truth does not need to fight the same way lies do. Truth simply needs to outlast deception. And you have outlasted it. Now, as this season of vindication unfolds around you, I want to speak something over your spirit that I believe heaven has been preparing for this exact moment. You have walked through a long and heavy season where silence felt heavier than words. You carried accusations that were never yours. You endured distance that you did not create. You prayed prayers that felt like they were disappearing into a ceiling rather than reaching anything that could respond. But every single one of those prayers was received. Every tear that fell in private was counted. Every morning you chose to get up and continue living with integrity instead of descending into the bitterness that would have been so understandable. So human. Every one of those mornings was a testimony being written in a place you could not see. Heaven does not run on the same clock as human impatience, and the delay you experienced was not evidence of abandonment. It was evidence of a preparation so thorough that when the vindication arrived, no one would be able to attribute it to coincidence or circumstance. The exposure that is happening around your name right now carries the unmistakable fingerprint of divine timing. It could not have happened a year ago because the hearts involved were not yet soft enough to receive it. It could not have happened 2 years ago because you yourself had not yet developed the wisdom to carry vindication without being consumed by it. Everything has arrived at exactly the moment it needed to. As this new chapter opens, the family that once gathered their understanding of you from someone else's interpretation is now beginning to gather it from their own experience of who you actually are. The person who once spoke most confidently about your flaws is now watching those same people form their own conclusions. Conclusions that contradict everything they were told. And that shift is producing something in them that no external pressure could have created. A reckoning with their own role in what happened. A reckoning that will either lead them toward humility or further into defensiveness. You cannot control which direction they choose, but you can remain steady enough that if they choose humility, they have someone to walk toward. Walk forward from this day with quiet confidence, not the loud confidence of someone who needs the room to acknowledge their vindication. The quiet confidence of someone who already knows that the God who sees in secret is the same God who rewards openly. You do not need to correct the record loudly. You do not need to circulate the truth the way the lie was once circulated. You only need to continue living in a way that makes the truth about you impossible to deny. The story that was written about you without your consent is losing its readers. The people who believed it are being confronted with evidence that rewrites everything they thought they understood. And as that rewriting happens, as hearts change and perspectives shift and the architecture of deception continues to collapse, your name is being restored in rooms you cannot enter, in conversations you will never witness, in quiet reckonings that are taking place in the hearts of people who once looked at you through someone else's lens, and are now, finally, beginning to see you clearly, chosen one. What was hidden is being revealed. What was distorted is being corrected. What was taken from you through misunderstanding is being returned through vindication. This is not the end of your story. This is the chapter where the truth about who you have always been finally catches up with the life you have been quietly living. Take a deep breath and receive that. Let it settle somewhere past the place where doubt lives. Because what heaven has begun around your name will not be reversed. The same God who declared through Scripture that there is a time for every purpose under heaven has determined that this is the time for your purpose to be seen. And nothing that was said against you in seasons past has the power to stop what heaven has already decided to do in the season ahead. If these words have landed somewhere real in your spirit today, I want to invite you to seal this moment with something simple. Write in the comments below. You can write something like "My vindication comes from the Lord," or simply write the word "receiving." When you put words to what you are believing for, something shifts in the atmosphere. The comment section beneath this video is not just a space for reactions. It is a gathering place for people walking through this same season together. And your words might be exactly what someone else needed to find when they scroll through today. If you have not yet subscribed to this channel, this is the moment. There is more prepared for this journey. More words that have been set apart for the specific path you are walking. Every message that comes is built for people who are standing exactly where you are standing right now. People in the waiting season, people in the vindication season, people learning to carry grace and wisdom at the same time. You belong in this community, and you will not want to miss what comes next. Heaven has not forgotten you. Your time of restoration has already begun. And the same integrity that carried you through the misunderstanding is the very thing that will carry you through the healing. Keep walking, chosen one. Keep walking.